definitely going to get pulled over here. So I'll get the camera balancing at the front of the car, so hopefully it doesn't fall over. Hopefully I don't get pulled over. So I've been doing some research into the different stages, so to speak, of awakening, and came across a term called entering the stream, or stream entry. I think it comes from Buddhism, and that describes the process of having the first large irreversible insight. After that, things become easier, the process becomes easier, the path becomes easier, because the ego becomes thinner, and you kind of seen through it to a degree. And then there's some momentum, so there's more momentum with the practice of presence than there is with the trappings of ego. So I wasn't aware of this until recently. So I think it's the first big insight, because before, I remember there was the first kind of quote unquote mystical experience that happened is when I think I was in my teens, and I was on a train. I was going to work in town, and I thought I had a stroke or something like that, because I was sitting on the train. I didn't like the train, it was busy and noisy, so I was trying to zone out, and I was focusing on all the sounds around me and just trying to be present. Or not trying, but I was present. And it was triggered by it was a duality. It was triggered by, I suddenly became aware that the world of the universe was talking to itself and listening to itself. It's kind of like in a kind of duality as a single entity, and that realization created a kind of shift inside. There we go, it's fallen off. So that was the first big shift. It was kind of like an expansive realization that made the whole universe seem very small at the same time. There's a lot of paradoxes in this. That's why it's difficult to explain. It's just a whole bunch of paradox. So I think that was when my mind really began to develop the ability to objectively look at itself in the third person. This time similar, but it's more of a, not so much a duality. Difficult to explain. Not so much a duality, but it's a singularity. You know, when you hear spiritual teachers talk about all is one, everything is one. It's not like everything is the one. like everything is the one entity, but it's also a non-entity at the same time. It's like nothing. And it's not like it's not so much like there's a third person entity witnessing. It's just nothing. It's just nothing and everything is the only way to describe it. But yeah, just interesting to come across these terms post-shift that I'd not seen before, and they kind of make sense, or they kind of do a pretty decent job at explaining what's happening. So apparently things are easier. The practice is easier. Once you really see through the illusion of the self, the self kind of begins to dissolve, and it's just about integrating that into your daily life. I think that's where this intuition comes from regarding not going too deeply into it. I think it needs to be integrated into my person to a degree, and I think it needs a little bit of time to do that. If that makes sense. From the point of view of the person, there needs to be. It feels like if I go too deeply into it, not that I'll disconnect from reality, but it'll be difficult to integrate. The balance won't quite be there. If that makes sense. But there we go, that's all for now.